Hi, and as the High Elf Hunter Halthete wanders across the northern border of the Shire into the hills of Evendim, we come to one of the last remaining settlements of the Dúnedain Rangers. But how did the race of men come to be, and what of their lost great land of Númenor? Men were the second of two races to be devised by Ilúvatar, and were also the second to be awakened after the elves. The race of men were awakened at the start of the first age of Middle-earth. Unlike the elves, men were not made immortal. This is known as the gift of men, though it seems strange to call a condition whereby you will get sick and die a gift. During the first age, Morgoth invaded Beleriand in the northwest of Middle-earth and brought it largely under his dominion. After receiving a plea from the half-elf Evendim, the Valar agreed to join forces with the races of Middle-earth. The resulting war, known as the War of Wrath, lasted for 40 years and resulted in the almost complete destruction of Morgoth's forces, with orcs, balrogs and dragons all either perishing or retreating into hiding. The war was so destructive that almost the entire land of Beleriand sank beneath the ocean. The race of men was somewhat divided during the war, with some fighting on the side of the Valar against Morgoth and some fighting for the Dark Lord. For those men who fought for the Valar, an island was raised up from the sea as a reward, located between Valinor and Middle-earth. Here they would make their land of Númenor. They were also granted longer life, with a typical lifespan of 200 years. The land was magnificent and provided for all their needs, and also great scope for exploration of the lands of Middle-earth to the east. The island was in the shape of a five-pointed star, and the centre contained the great mountain Meneltama, where a shrine was built in tribute to Ilúvatar. The Valar forbade the men of Númenor from sailing too far west, as they were not permitted in Valinor, the Undying Lands, unlike the elves whom the Valar invited before men were awakened. The men of Númenor began to colonise other lands. Eventually, after the shadow of Sauron fell across Númenor, the Númenorians began to subjugate other peoples, and no rebellion was able to match their military might. The Númenorians were becoming increasingly resentful of the immortality which was granted to the elves. They were the greatest military force on Middle-earth, and wherever they invaded, they conquered. When Sauron began his conquest of Middle-earth in the Second Age, Númenor sent aid to the elvish realm of Lindon, the only part of Beleriand which was not submerged at the end of the First Age. The Númenorians began to settle in and around this region, but Sauron could not be stopped. He had by this time forged his master ring. In the year 3255 of the Second Age, the king of Númenor, Ar-Pharazôn, a wicked man who had effectively stolen the throne, sailed to Middle-earth with a force so large that Sauron was forced to surrender. Ar-Pharazôn brought Sauron back to Númenor as his prisoner, but the Dark Lord was not as helpless as he seemed. He preyed on the Númenorian king's fears of old age and death, and poisoned his mind against the Valar, who had, after all, consigned their people to this fate. He persuaded the king that worshipping Morgoth would grant him the immortal life that he craved, and so King Ar-Pharazôn cut down and burned Nimloth the Fair, the White Tree of the Kings, as a sacrifice to Morgoth. Isildur managed to rescue a fruit of Nimloth, which became the White Tree of Gondor. Ar-Pharazôn raised an armada at Sauron's behest and set sail for the Undying Lands of Valinor to the west, to make war with the Valar. Needless to say, this didn't go very well for them. The ensuing devastation resulted in the obliteration of Númenor, which sank back beneath the sea. Though not all Númenorians fought against the Valar, those still loyal, called the Faithful, under the leadership of Elendil, were given notice of the cataclysm and sailed away to Middle-earth, where they established the realms of Arnor and Gondor. The descendants of the Númenorians, now generally known as the Dúnedain, still retain long life by the measure of most men of Middle-earth, but it has waned since the glory days of Númenor. Those Númenorians who were loyal to King Ar-Pharazôn but had not sailed with the Armada to Valinor had settled other parts of Middle-earth. It is from these men that Sauron corrupted leaders and created his Nazgûl. And that is the brief history of the rise and fall of the great realm of men, Númenor. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, then please click the like button and subscribe for further content. Comments help a lot as well, and please share with others who may also be interested. And until next time, I'll see you later.